shelter. Now, juror second-degree murder trial, and joining us now, we have attorney John Phillips. All right, so they already have asked to take a break. Does that mean they're exhausted? What does that mean?
You know, they had a long emotional day. You know, they've gone through both sides of closing arguments, the rebuttal argument of the state, and before that, the defense argument. And they had about 3 hours of deliberation time. And that'll wear on you if you can't get a quick conviction or a quick acquittal, easier for me to say. You know, it's probably time to stop, sleep on it, relax, and then get ready for a long day tomorrow.
And what's the old wives' tale? If they come back sooner, it's usually guilty. If they come back later, it's not guilty.
It is. I guess the old lawyer's tale is that if they come back sooner, it's good for the defendant, and because they threw this case out of court. But you've seen it every way. I think I heard Janet talking about she had a conviction or an acquittal after 6 minutes, and then I've heard some of the state attorney say the same thing.
And Casey Anthony was what, 4 to 5 hours, I think?
4 to 5 hours.
And that turned out to be a not guilty and acquittal.
Correct.
So what do you think was the biggest pieces these jurors are going to take away from the closing arguments?
You know, Mark O'Mara's position was kind of the conspiracy theory. He said, "Oh, really?" about, I don't know, several dozen times. And John Guy did a phenomenal job coming up, cleaning up. He's actually going to be one of the ones trying Jordan Davis's case. But he came up and kind of swept it home and said, look, this is where it all makes sense why this was, if not murder, to manslaughter. Now, he could have hit manslaughter a little harder. I think from the get-go, Richard and all of the experts you've had have said it's a manslaughter case. But, you know, the state always has a hard time coming off of their top charge. What's it going to be like in that jury room? Do you think there's going to be a lot of fighting? Do you think it's going to be more calm? Six women, 5 moms. I would hope it would be not as much fighting and a calming influence. They've definitely had a reasonable head about them with asking for an index of all the discovery, all the evidence so far, and then taking a break reasonably, not trying to push it till 2 a.m. like a bunch of guys might. But it seems to be they'll be level-headed. If you were a juror, what would be the one piece of evidence that you would really fight over, really talk about in that room? You know, the kicker is going to be, since the defendant didn't testify, to go through his statements and see whether there are the consistencies the state contends, and whether the story makes sense. Because if you can unravel that piece where George Zimmerman wasn't telling the truth, okay, maybe it is a manslaughter case. But if George Zimmerman was telling the truth, okay, it's a self-defense case. And so it's a huge part that they may look at some of the interviews with Fox News and some of the ones he did. And lastly, how is Jordan Davis's family handling all of this, waiting for the verdict? They've reached out, and the family of Trayvon's family has reached out to us. I texted with the attorney today, and we're supporting them, and they're supporting us. And it's, you know, everybody's got their own. I always say, you know, justice is spelled one way, but defined a million different ways. And this is one step in the marathon towards justice, towards both cases. Well, thank you so much for joining us, John. We appreciate it, for being here every night to break down all the legalese of the trial. All right, now we know we had a thunderstorm earlier today, and there's more rain expected throughout the